Warning, this episode contains adult language, mature situations, the Tezuka star system, sci-fi fanfic scenarios, supremely obscure characters, manga news, and an epic space opera series. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. Spiraken Manga Review 555. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spiraken Manga Review. I'm your host Zan, saying konnichiwa, aloha, buongiorno, and what's up? Hope you're doing good and hope you're excited for another fun-filled episode of this awesome podcast you can find at www.spiraken.com. And more importantly, welcome to our 550th episode. Can you believe it? 550 episodes since we started this awesome podcast. I can't believe it. 550 episodes of just this podcast. We've done over 1,000 episodes of the other podcasts, but wow. It has been a trip, and we're going to keep doing this as long as we can. But with that in mind, let's actually get to our 550th official manga review with one which is pretty cool, and one that's kind of crazy too. Let's get to it. So if you remember from last episode, I spun that one that only the Wheel of Manga, and it dictated on to be that we're reviewing a manga that was written by Osamu Tezuka and Kenny Ruiz. Well, actually, Kenny Ruiz is the actual author of this, but this is based on the works of Osamu Tezuka. But because these characters are all based on Osamu Tezuka, we cannot forget about the man himself, the god of manga himself. Now, this was published by, well, someone pretty cool and very different. We're talking about Akira Shoten and released in the United States by Udon Entertainment. We have not heard about Udon in a while. For those of you unfamiliar, Udon is a more high-end and very niche level manga publisher, but they do amazing work with this stuff, and this one especially. Now, this was released in Bisatsu Shonen Champion, that means the Shonen title. Original one was 2021, and it's still coming out to this day. There are 4 volumes currently. It is not complete, and it is an action-adventure sci-fi fantasy. And also, technically, I should say this is also technically fan fiction. It is a shonen series that's original title is right there. Very easy to read, but in English, the translation for it, and just in general, the title is simply Team Phoenix. And like I said, this is literally fan fiction. This is Kenny Ruiz took a bunch of characters from the Osamu Tezuka star system and put them in his own insane story that is amazing and wonderful, and it works so well. It is taking the spirits of Osamu Tezuka and just did something cool with it. And also, I gotta admit, this is the special edition cover that is released by Barnes & Nobles. There is another edition that I actually can show it to you because the special edition comes with the poster with the original cover, which I like this cover a lot better because we get Sapphire on the cover. But let's actually get into it. Now, first off, the big question is, what is the Tezuka star system? Well, the Tezuka star system is that Osamu Tezuka created several characters that would feature in multiple works, but they wouldn't be playing background character number A. It would be literally, here is Dr. Blackjack in Dr. Blackjack, and then it'll show up in Jungle Emperor Leo as Blackjack. Here is Shiraku in the Three-Eyed One, and then he shows up in Phoenix as the Three-Eyed One. So all the characters show up multiple times. They show up totally. And this story is one that is a little bit original. The concept of it is that in the far-flung future, there is, well, a war that is happening, a insane war that occurred 1,000 years ago, and 100 years ago things changed because 100 years ago the Robot Alliance decided to wage war against the biologicals and their League of Life Forms, and they were not doing well. They were losing until one day their champion came to save the day, save the Robot Alliance. Something happened to the champion, and unfortunately, someone took the place of the champion. This is Atlas. Atlas took over, he united all the different tribes, and then he was able to take over 90% of the universe. So 90% of the universe is being controlled by the Robot Alliance and Atlas. And the life forms, unfortunately, they are now relegated to having badges that say they can live, and there are different fiefdoms that are controlled by the Robot Alliance, and then they have human overseers. One of these planetary systems is Silverland, which is run by Prince Sapphire, who is someone who is very noble and regal and amazing. But as we all know, this is not the entire truth, because the truth is that Prince Sapphire is actually Princess Sapphire. But due to certain legalities, she cannot be the prince. So she can't be the ruler as princess, so she pretends to be the prince. And everyone has bought this at this point. And she watches over her people, and she is beloved for what she does, or what he does, rather. And one day he sees someone being, Sapphire sees someone being punished by a robot that's visiting, and what Sapphire does is Sapphire immediately defends this person, saying, how dare you touch them? You're not going to mess with my people. I will defend them to the death. However, what you didn't realize is that this is actually an audition for her to join the famous Planetary Knights. And this is being adhered to by the Blue Knight, Pluto, and Uran, who is the counselor to Emperor Atlas. Yes, that is Uran from Astro Boy. That is Pluto from Pluto and also Astro Boy and all the other characters, because the main military leaders of this universe are the 7 strongest robots of all time. The only one who is missing is Astro Boy, because apparently Astro Boy died years ago. No one knows what happened to him. And so now you have this group that's run by Atlas that is following and saving the world. And now they have been joined by Princess Sapphire, or Prince Sapphire, and 3 other humans to be the knights who protect these systems and make sure everything runs smoothly. And a year after this event, the universe has become totally in harmony, things are well, and, well, let's be honest, Sapphire has gone Sith. She is oppressing people without realizing it. She's fighting against the treacherous League of Life Forms, who is going against the Robot Alliance, and she will defend her country. And she kicks ass in it. The artwork in this is amazing as her fighting. The one tiny problem is that the leader of this sect, it turns out, is her father, which really sucks. It's her father who she loves, who knows who she is and has told her to be a boy and loves her. And he says, this isn't, we live in pseudo-peace, but this isn't freedom. It's fake. And this oppression won't let something like a princess be in charge of a kingdom. Essentially saying, you'd have to pretend to be a prince forever because of this regime. And as she's thinking about this problem, the Blue Knight shows up and says, oh, you found a traitor. Take care of her. Take care of him. And unfortunately, Sapphire has to do what she does, and sadly kills her dad, which is rather shocking and sad. She kills her father, and then she has to deal with the repercussions of the fact that she just murdered her dad. And what happens is she ends up, even though she's congratulated for doing what's right and being a fine example of the knights of the robot empire, she doesn't take well to this. So 2 years later, she disappears. She has an emotional break and disappears, and comes back as Captain Sapphire of the White Horse, a group of life-form mercenaries and pirates who go to save the day and who fight the Robot Alliance. Joining her is the Jungarian Emperor, Leo, who's from Jungala, who is a fighter. He is a former strongman, and it's essentially Jungle Emperor Leo, or Kimba the White Lion, as a animal man. And he's the strongman of this pirates. And assisting them also is Shiraku, the three-eyed one from the Three-Eyed One, who is their technical expert, obsessed with technology, knows everything about technology, can tell how to defeat robots just by looking at them because psychic abilities. And they are going against the evil robot empire. Now, on the other side, we have a mysterious girl named Fire who is having visions about weird symbols and how to save the world and heal the universe. She doesn't know what she's doing, but due to some circumstances, she ends up hooking up with the crew of the White Horse, and they're going to save the day. And with most things, as you can guess, there is lots of action, there's adventure, there's tons of intrigue, and there are tons of references and characters from Tezuka's work that are super unique, super intriguing, and more importantly, super obscure. For example, eventually they get a new spaceship, which is their team ship when all the team gets together, because all 7 join up. And their ship, which you can see in this photo, is essentially the Phoenix. They made the Phoenix, the Hinonotori, into a spaceship. It is pretty awesome. It's a living spaceship. And then, of course, helping them out is someone who rescued a kidnapped child, a cyborg assassin, who is named Hyakimaru. Yes, Hyakimaru from Dororo is now a cyborg assassin with lightsaber arms that when he rips his arms off, just like in the original series, they come to life. It's pretty badass. At one point, you actually see that since he's a cyborg, all that's real is his brain and his spine. The rest is all mechanical. Kind of creepy, but really cool. And then, of course, we cannot forget some of the other characters, including Dr. Blackjack is in this. And assisting Dr. Blackjack, surprisingly, and this was the one that shocked me the most, is a character named Midnight, who is, in this, a female space taxi driver who is essentially Dr. Blackjack's chauffeur. But in the original continuity, in the original manga, Midnight is this taxi driver who is an investigator who keeps having weird things happen when people get into his car. It's a he that they turn to a she. So it is pretty cool. And the story is great. It gets more further, more insane. And this is a historically huge, universe-sprawling space opera that has tons of proportions and tons of amazing artwork. And I am totally nerding about this because this is really cool. As if you've watched or listened to the podcast for as long as I've been doing this is insane. It takes some of the greatest characters in manga history and turns them into a superhero team that works so well. It combines all of them together in a very whimsical but creative way. And let me get into some of the other elements. First off, the artwork. This is by Kenny Ruiz, who draws the characters very similar and faithfully to the Tezuka design, but has his own use for it. He uses more angular images, so all the characters have pointy noses. Think Jet from Cyborg 009. They look similar to that. And for some of the characters, I didn't think it worked at first, but the overarching story just drew me into it, and it made me more engaged into the story. How he draws Atlas. Atlas, I thought, was Astro Boy brainwashed, but in reality, Atlas is a character who was supposed to be the clone or stepbrother of Astro Boy from all the way back in the 70s, who had the specific style of haircut, which is kind of, I don't want to say racist, but it's a little bit appropriating. I'm not going to get into it. But they make it so that it's actually pieces of metal that are in his head that work so well. So the design is exceptional for it. And also, doing this to Kimba. Doing that to Kimba is great. And as I said, the special edition comes with the poster of the original manga cover. This manga cover is pretty badass. I mean, we have Sapphire, we have Shiraku, and we have Leo. And that is a great image. And then the second one, which I had to pick up because it has Blackjack on the cover, is Blackjack, Midnight, and a couple of other characters that are introduced later on. The series gets more crazy and more insane and just more unique, and also we get more of what's going on. And as I said, you have the lieutenants who are the 7 strongest robots. Gashit is in this as an enforcer for Atlas, and he's a bad guy. And he's assisted by Mr. Mustachio, but Mr. Mustachio, they've turned into he's a human pet. It's wow. I just gotta say, wow. Now, that being said, this is great art. It's a great space opera story. It has great characters, and it is totally manga nerddom. Here's the thing, though. This is fan fiction. This is literally, let's take a bunch of characters that already exist and let's put them together in our own story. This is fan fiction. But it is done in such a wonderfully insane way that I love it. And I think that even if you've never read these characters before, you will get their personalities and get their designs so much. You will want to read more about them when you find out that they actually do exist. And for that reason alone, and especially for the 555th episode, I'm happy that I got this because this is I'm going to use the original way I said this, really, really, really fucking cool. If you don't read this now, your brain will freeze, your eyes will swell up, and your soul will be forfeit to the great Zolmo Gustar. This is a phenomenal manga, and it's one which I highly recommend. Now, I picked up these first two volumes from Barnes & Nobles. Pick them up from there, but if you can't, buy them on Amazon, buy them on udonentertainment.com, or buy them on Crunchyroll because they are worth it. And for those of you who are space opera fans, and I know I have a bunch of you who are listening to it, especially you mech fans out there, you are going to love this because the designs are great in this. They've done so many unique things with this. There's references to Buddha in this, and they're done in such a seamless and just engaging way that you are going to want to read this and examine every page for every Easter egg possible. So, with that in mind, my random question for the day, which I have to bring up, which is totally one which is making me think about this, is going to be, if you had to choose, what other mangaka would you want their work to make a crossover manga with? For me personally, it has to be Rumiko Takahashi. I mean, imagine a world where you have Mao, you have Inuyasha, you have Ranma, you have Ataru and Lum, you have the cast of Meisani Koku all together in some insane plot. I think that would be amazing. Another one I would say is Soul Eater, because you get Soul Eater and Fire Force crossing over, mixing together. Another one, Fairy Tail and Rave Master. I mean, it's been done because Plu is in both, but you could go so much further. So which are the ones you're most excited about? Let me know. Email me zanspiraken.com or tweet me at Spiraken. And with that in mind, let's actually get to the newest releases for this week. So for this week, we've got some fun ones and some kind of insane ones as well that came out this week. Not that many, but they are really, really cool. So the mangas that we're talking about this week that came out are, starting from the top, The Seventh Time Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy, the light novel, Volume 5. Following that, we have Classroom of the Elite, the manga, Volume 10. Dance in the Vampire Bund, Age of Scarlet Order, Volume 11. Easygoing Territory Defense by the Optimistic Lord production, Magic turns a nameless village into the strongest fortified city, manga, Volume 2. The Great Snake's Bride, Volume 3. Happy Kaneko's Killer Life, Volume 7. Also, fun fact that this has gotten a live-action adaptation coming out. I am excited to see how it goes. Then we have If It's For My Daughter, I'd Even Kill a Demon Lord, the manga, Volume 7. Mushoku Tensei, Roxy Gets Serious, Volume 11. My Androgynous Boyfriend, Volume 4. My Dog is a Death God, Volume 2. My Sister Took My Fiancé and Now I'm Being Courted by a Beastly Prince, Volume 1. No Love Zone, Volume 1. Roll Over and Die, I Will Fight for an Ordinary Life with My Love and Cursed Sword, Volume 5. And last and certainly not least, we have Wicked Trapper, Hunter of Heroes, Volume 4. These are the manga releases for the week, and we've got, for the most part, some really solid titles this week. The Great Snake's Bride is a great series if you haven't checked it out yet. My Sister Took My Fiancé, I mean, that's very basic, but I'm hearing great things about it. And for me personally, my top 5 for this week are going to be Easygoing Territory Defense by the Optimistic Lord, Volume 2. Happy Kaneko's Killer Life, Volume 7. My Dog is a Death God, Volume 2. No Love Zone, Volume 1. And last and certainly not least, Wicked Trapper, Hunter of Heroes, Volume 4. Which are the ones that you're most excited about? Let me know. Email me, zan@spiraken.com, or tweet me at Spiraken. Let me know your thoughts on which you're most excited about or which you think are kind of not the best thing ever. Let me know. And, well, before we go any further, I'd like to thank each and every one of you who are checking out this podcast, who've listened to it, and who've been faithfully just checking this out since the early days, or those of you who have just joined in. Every email I get, every comment I get, every new subscriber gives me more motivation to keep doing this podcast. I love doing this. And I'm going to keep doing this till I'm an old man who has to read manga with thick glasses. So thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. In 2 weeks, we're going to have our 16-year anniversary. Can you believe it? 16 years since I started this podcast, and we're already at 550. That's kind of crazy. I didn't think I would be doing this long, and I love doing this. I'm going to keep doing this, so thank you so much. And if you want to support the podcast and help me create more fun content for you to enjoy, definitely, if you have a chance, like, share, subscribe, click on that bell for notification, subscribe on our YouTube channel, leave comments on Apple Podcasts, and most importantly, once our Patreon's back up, join the Patreon. Help me create more fun content for you to enjoy. And with that in mind, let's actually get to the part that you have all been waiting for, the most popular part of this podcast since Mason and I started this all the way back in the long, long ago. And what am I talking about? I am talking about that one, that only, the Yes, friends, the Wheel of Manga, except no substitute. Now, what is the Wheel of Manga? The Wheel of Manga is a Wheel of Fortune with 10 slots on it. And what I've done is I've assigned a manga title to each of the 10 slots. So we're going to spin the wheel. Whatever number it lands on, the manga that's in that spot is what I'm going to review in the next episode of the Spiraken Manga Review, episode 556. 556 mangas. Can you believe it? Well, we've done more than that because some of the episodes were double or tripled. I mean, just think about episode 69. We had 3 volumes. Also, we had 3 volumes for episode 300, which was our Ken Akamatsu episode, which actually has to be re-recorded for certain reasons because, well, Cal's recording got weird and got cut off. I was going back through it, and because when I recorded it originally it was fine, but then for some reason it got warped. I don't know what happened. Some of the old things did get warped over time, so got to fix that. But I digress. So let's spin and see what we're reviewing in the next episode, shall we? Number 2. So in the next episode, I'm going to be reviewing a manga about gaming. We're talking about Shangri-La Frontier. I didn't expect to see this one, but hey, it's a cool one about a guy who ends up having to wear a weird, stupid costume because of glitches when he goes from playing junk games to A-tier games. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Well, you're going to have to wait and see. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you love it. And as usual, for the 555th time, I'm your host, Zan. It has been my pleasure. I'm Gonzville. I'll catch you guys next time. And as always, keep reading manga. See you later.